Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is there going to be a stock market crash in September? Now, at the Prophecy Club, what we try to do is bring you not only the news, but the news in light of Bible prophecy, and also what God's modern prophets are saying. Because a lot of times what comes to us in the news, almost all of the time what comes to us in the news comes from the Moloch and Baal worshipers. Now, I know we've got a lot of new listeners, so let me explain. So when Moses came down off of Mount Sinai with the Ten Commandments, he looked down and they were worshiping a golden calf. The name of that calf is Moloch, and then in later chapters of the Bible, it also calls it Baal, B-A-A-L. And these are the people that apparently made a deal with the devil that he would put them in charge, give them lots of money and lots of power as long as they gave him souls. The more painful, the more deadly, the more bloody, the better. These are the people that actually believe in human sacrifice, eating people, drinking their blood. Not kidding. If you don't know that, you need to do a little research because it's certainly out there. So these are the 1% that own the 99% of the world. These are the people that work under the table, behind the curtain, behind the back, to stab people in the back. They believe in murder, in blackmail, in all kinds of evil to force people to do what they want to do. So what we're going to look at today is the things that they're saying about the stock market, but I'm going to bring you some things from what the modern prophets are saying too. So back to the question. And let me just say right up front, I do not know that there's going to be a stock market crash in September. But again, as a watchman, that's what I'm called to do. I'm called to bring you the warning. I can't guarantee that the sword comes, but Ezekiel 33:6 says, if I see a sword coming, I'm to blow the trumpet. So I'm blowing the trumpet. So the big question you're going to be asking is, so why do you think that there might be a stock market collapse in September? Well, first of all, I do not know that there is. But there's some good reasons to suspect, and I'm not the only one who's saying that there might be. For one, and I've looked at 4 different, probably 45-minute presentations from stock market experts, some of that come to it from the computer calculations angle. Some come to it as from the direction of the feasts, things that happen on the feasts, which of course I believe in, which is true. So the first reason it may be in September is this one guy says all stock market crashes have always happened on God's feast days, and this particular year, the Feast of Trumpets is on September the 24th. That's the reason we're having our Solemn September Assembly on September 24th. Go to prophecyclub.com and it'll tell you all about it. The next thing is another day of judgment is October the 4th. It is atonement. Both of those are judgment days. Both of those are very close and very close to happening. Then Benjamin Fulford comes along and he says that there's been a lot of Vatican firings. We're going to cover that. Hal Turner comes along and says Goldman is selling $87 million worth of gold, of treasuries. Also, the Vatican is calling all assets back to the Vatican before the end of September. Dana Coverstone hints at it in a dream that we're about to cover here. Okay, first of all, let's start with, this is Benjamin Fulford. Entire leadership of NATO fired as interregnum begins. The removal of the top ranks of the Knights of Malta by the Vatican means the entire leadership of NATO has been fired. Okay, so what's going on? NATO has to do with war, but war has to do with money. So all of this could be hinting at money. P3 Mason sources say that there is also a purge going on inside Vatican City as Zionist cabal. Now that word cabal, that's a short word of saying they believe in Baal or Moloch and Baal. So that's another confirmation. What I'm telling you about Moloch and Baal, what I'm talking about these evil people, some of them call themselves Jews but are not, but do lie, the Bible says, Revelation. Vatican City Zionist cabal members are being removed. We're also getting multiple reports from intelligence agency sources around the world of a 9/11 or a Fukushima-type event planned for this month. What's he saying? He's saying a big catastrophe is about to hit. All right, now what could that catastrophe be? It could be suitcase nukes. We have information that there's about 35 of them hidden all across America. It could be suitcase nukes. It could be an internal revolution where the good guys kick out the bad guys. It could be something to do with the election. Let's go on. September the 8th, 11th, or 23rd have been singled out. Well, if I had to choose between 8, 11, or 23, I'm going to choose 23. Somebody sent me about a 45-minute video, and I was not just a little impressed. I was very impressed with how September 23rd has been a subliminal message in all kinds of music and movies and just about everything out there. So September 23rd would be my guess. Do I know something that's going to happen on September 23rd? No, I don't. I don't know that there's going to be a stock market in September or October. But I'm warning you that there are some people out there, backed up by some prophecies, that say that there's a high probability. If it's not this year, then the probability will increase next year. But let's go on. He says, there is a very real probability that the EU and most governments in the EU will collapse, possibly before the end of the month, talking about September. Russians have cut off gas flows to Europe. Those are the kind of things that start wars. The cutoff is certain to lead to a shutdown of most industries in Western Europe, and I've already got an article where steel and copper and aluminum plants in Europe are now starting to shut down. Dana Coverstone, January 19th of 2022, had a dream. Now, there's a part of it that I'll point out here that is kind of giving us a date on when some things are going to happen. The dream began with me sitting in front of my desk in my office watching a podcast on my computer. Alongside the window directly in front of me and to my right was a 2022 calendar. So what he's saying here specifically is coming for 2022. I was looking out the window as January changed to February. Clear sunny skies outside represented the 2 months, and nothing bad happened in January or February. When it turned to March, the skies turned very gray, and I heard 3 distinct sounds of F-16s flying. The sky was gray, overcast. Okay, what happened in March? Well, in February, the Russians invaded Ukraine, but that didn't affect us. Not directly, anyway. But then in March, it began to affect us, and that kind of has to do with the war. So it's kind of saying that the rumblings of war will start by March, and that's true. The months of April, May, June, July, and August passed with the sun shining and nothing of concern outside. And they all passed, and there's not a problem. Now, here's the point I'm getting to. When the calendar turned to September, as in September of 2022, when the calendar turned to September, the paper turned brown like a leaf in the fall sky, became dark with wind and random noises and jets again. Now, the jets is saying it has something to do with military. The brown like a leaf, I don't think it's talking about like Oktoberfest or something like that. I think it's saying that there's going to be trouble in September. The green leaf turned brown in September. 3 F-16s flew by my window, headed north with flashing red and yellow lights. Now remember, red and yellow. Red and yellow lights on the top of it. They seemed to be on a mission. Then 3 jets flew south with the same red and yellow lights. So red and yellow, what does that mean? So I looked it up. In the world of nature, colors mean things. Red means to stop. Yellow means there's a hazard. You see a wasp and it has yellow, it's nature telling you you better stay back. There's a phrase out there that says red and yellow kills a fellow, whether it's a snake, whether it's a bug, whether it's a frog. So when nature has red and yellow, it's saying caution, back up, big problems. Here's a black widow spider that has a red hourglass, quite popular out there. Everyone knows about that. Let's continue with the dream. The sky turned very dark outside. Another set came from the east to the west. They had the brilliant flame of the afterburner, but not flashing lights. They quickly reached Mach speed. I heard a sonic boom, and the 3 went north, 3 went south, 3 went west at Mach speed. All of this is talking about September, not October, talking about September. The man I often see, that's the angel that comes to him, the man I often see was standing in front of the window looking right at me. He pointed up and said, "Up is coming, and it is beginning." That's a key. It is beginning. When is it beginning? What did he just say? He just said it is beginning specifically in September of 2022. I didn't say that. The angel that spoke to Dana Coverstone said that. And I believe he's hearing from God. Matter of fact, I've had Dana Coverstone in my home a couple of times. We had him as a speaker. I've hugged his neck. I know him. He's a good guy. He's hearing from God. He pointed up and said, "Up is coming, and it is beginning. All that you've braced for is now. 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 When? September 2022. Stay braced and ready. Eyes on the prize, and be steady in your steps." It means we better stop sinning, repent, turn to Jesus with our whole heart, because some big problems are right around the corner. Now, let me remind you, Pharaoh had a dream. There were 7 ears of corn and 7 blasted ones. There's 7 fat cows and 7 lean ones. 7 leans ate up the fat ones, 7 years of plenty, and then there were 7 years of famine. The 7 years the world lived from wheat. During those 7 years of famine, what they lived on was not corn, not rice, not beans. It was wheat. In my opinion, wheat is God's famine food. Meaning, if you want to eat in the famine that we are currently in, I would suggest you get wheat. And of course, I'd recommend you go to josephkitchen.com. Let's talk about Joseph Kitchen. I actually cooked this loaf of bread you're seeing here. Takes me about 10 minutes to put the ingredients together, put it into a bread machine, push a button, 2 hours, 20 minutes later, I get a loaf of bread out like that. Now, if you cut that loaf of bread that weighs about 3 pounds, the loaves you get in the store have most of the good stuff removed. The loaves you get in the store are about a pound. That's 3 pounds because it's got the good stuff still in it. Cut that into 14 slices, and if I eat a slice in the morning and the afternoon, I'm satisfied. So on that basis, one loaf can sustain, I didn't say it's everything we want, can sustain one person for a week. Based upon that, it'll get you excellent nutrition. It tastes good, long storage life, 10 minutes to combine the ingredients, 2 hours, 20 minutes to make it. Other wheat that you order arrives in paper bags, which means bugs, rice, humidity can get a hold of it and ruin it. But at Joseph Kitchen, they send it out in 100 mil thick buckets. Gives you long shelf life. It's stackable. There's some nitrogen infuses that hopefully gives it much longer shelf life, kills bugs and things like that. Easily resealable. Keep in a climate-controlled area. And they have it in stock. This is an actual picture of part of the warehouse. Here's another picture of these. Actually, each one of those boxes holds 2,500 pounds of wheat. And I think they've got 54 of those boxes, a bunch of them. So Joseph's Kitchen can ship it to you right now. You go to most of these places, they say out of stock. So here's what you want to do. Everybody needs to get a machine package. These are the things that you need to grind the wheat berries. Put them into a grinder. 30 seconds later, you have flour. You put that into the bread machine along with 6 other ingredients. Push a button. 2 hours, 20 minutes later, you have a nice hot loaf of whole wheat bread. Then you have to decide how much food you want. You want food 2 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 6 people 1 year. And if you want to make certain you have it when the electricity goes down, you can also get yourself a solar generator, all at josephskitchen.com. josephskitchen.com. Let me explain what this is. The world passed by and did not see this. But boy, I jumped at it. I saw immediately what it was saying. So on September 25th of 2014, and then on September 25th of 2014, 2 cows. One was born the day before, but they were both publicized on September 24th of 2014. So what? Well, that's a really big deal, actually. For one thing, September 25th of 2014 is a Shemitah. A Shemitah only comes one day every 7 years. And if you'll look at the 2 cows, what do you see about them? You see a 7 right across the forehead of both of the cows. Now, you can call that an accident, or you can call that God is trying to say something. If you'll notice the black cow, I believe the black and white is saying some people are going to be blessed in a time of plenty, and some people are not going to be blessed. Then what does the red mean? Well, when your books are in the red, it means that you're in financial trouble. So in my opinion, it is a prophecy. And if it is a prophecy, it's saying that 7 years of famine started on September 25th. I hope you're writing this down. September 25th of 2014. 7 years, 2014 to 2021 is 7 years of plenty. Then 2021 to 2028 is 7 years of famine, meaning our 7 years of famine started September of 2021. We are already 1 year into a 7-year famine. And all of this starts on Feast of Trumpets. Tribulation starts on Feast of Trumpets, and Jesus returns on the Feast of Trumpets, which is why I'm calling a solemn September assembly, calling everybody to go to prophecyclub.com from 9:30 in the morning till 9 at night on September 24th, and at 10:32 we're going to blow shofars, because shofar is a sign of war. It's a declaration of war. And we're declaring war on the devil in America, and every 5 minutes you can change prayers. You can pray up to 5 minutes. If you want to pray, you have to be in line. Before you get in line, you have to register. All of that is explained at prophecyclub.com. September 24th, mark the date. Now let's go on. This comes to us from HalTurnerRadioShow.com. He said, single financial house to dump $47 billion. Oh, what? Yeah, okay. He says, Goldman Sachs is allegedly going to sell off at least $47 billion in foreign equities starting tomorrow, as in this is today that I'm recording this. So by the time you listen to it, it was a day or two or three ago. They started selling $47 billion in foreign equities. Why? Is that saying that there's about to be a stock market crash? Well, you can't say that for sure. But in light of the other things, possibly. Because we know that the dollar is going to fall 30%, then down to 50%, down to 66%. Finally, it'll be worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. He says, in fact, I have a source who told me today that Goldman is selling their staffs. The selling of foreign equities will be as follows. They're telling their staffs. $47 billion must be sold this week if the markets stay flat. Of that $47 billion, $12 billion will be in the S&P 500. If markets go up, they will only sell $30 billion, and of that $7 billion will still be in the S&P 500. But, if markets go down, and they probably will, if markets go down, they allegedly plan to unload $57 billion, with $12 billion being in the S&P 500. What is that saying? It's saying this one thing can cause a stock market crash. One thing could cause... Now, you may be saying, well, I'm not in the stock market. Yeah, but you have dollars, and that would affect dollars, okay? This month, Goldman allegedly intends to sell $85 billion, of which $22 billion will be in the S&P if markets remain flat. If markets rise, they will buy $107 billion, with $31 billion being in the S&P 500. However, if markets drop, they intend to sell $109 billion with $20 billion in the S&P 500. Those are fighting words. Those are the kind of words that happen when there's a stock market crash, when the dollar falls. Now, additional information. Pope Francis instructs the Vatican entities to move all funds to the Vatican Bank by September 30th. Now, you'd think that they would have already said by like the first 1/3 of September before the crash hits. But they're calling in all funds to be returned to the Vatican Bank. Why? Pope Francis has ordered the Holy See and the connected entities to move all financial assets to the Institute for Works of Religion, commonly known as the Vatican Bank. Why? Financial and liquid assets must be removed to the Vatican Bank within 30 days or September 1, 2022. Why? Well, that's the big question. Maybe they're just moving their assets around. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with it. Or maybe, look, the Vatican, this is the woman that rules the beast. This is the woman that rides the beast. This is the woman that rules over all the other kings of the earth. So when the Vatican does this, Big problem. Can't guarantee it's a stock market crash. Can't guarantee it's the death of the dollar, but it certainly looks like it. Dr. Doom, Nouriel Roubini, predicts a historic stock market crash. He says the notorious Nouriel Roubini, who became a prominence after predicting the financial crisis of 2008 and 9, was dubbed Dr. Doom by Wall Street. But he's now saying that a historical stock market crash is coming as the central bank tries to tackle the inflationary crisis they created. In other words, this is the Moloch and Baal worshippers that has caused the financial crash, and there is a reason for it, because they understand, see, their goal is to put their man, the Antichrist, on the throne. He said it in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And they also understand that the wall, the police officer that is holding them back from their goal is America. So they've got to take down America, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to take us out financially and just about every other way, too. The article goes on to say the United States regulators' moves to attempt to rein in runaway inflation could tank the economy and cause crashes across stocks, bonds, housing credit, private equity, and other assets in bubble territory, which is just about everything these days. If the central bank gives up on fighting inflation, price increases could spiral out of control. He says you have the worst of the 70s in terms of supply shocks, and you have the worst of the global financial crisis because of too much debt, and this combination is dangerous. He says eventually the recession is going to be more severe. The loss of jobs and income and wages is going to be even more severe then. Additional information on finances. Dark times, industry and infrastructure collapsing by the day across Europe and the USA. Now, you may be saying, yeah, well, that's what's happening in Europe. This is not happening here. Well, we're kind of interlinked these days. So if Europe goes down, so does America. Just like America goes down, so does Europe. So it goes on to say, in yet another truly astonishing announcement that demonstrates the desperation of this hour, German steelmaker ArcelorMittal, one of the largest steel production facilities in Europe, has shuttered operations, as in shut down operations, due to high energy prices. It says aluminum smelters, copper smelters, ammonium production plants over the last few weeks have shut down. Of course, now we know that if you don't have ammonia, then you don't have some fertilizer. You don't have fertilizer, you don't have some food. So fertilizer is food. Keep remembering that. Russia announced a complete ban on natural gas exports to Europe until the West's economic sanctions are lifted. These are fighting words. These are the way world wars get started. Some people say that the real thing that caused World War II was when America shut off the oil to Japan. She had no other opportunity or no other choice but to attack America. So what is happening here? Is this a war starting? Are we about to go into the tribulation? Probably. How Western Europe is supposed to function over the next 6 months in the winter when no steel means no industry. No industry means no jobs. No fertilizer means no food. No natural gas means no electricity or heat or fertilizer, and that means no food. So the three pillars that allow a modern society to function are being severely crippled by economic sanctions and sky-high energy prices across Europe. Now, I've written up some possible reasons. What could be going on? Could it be that there's about to be a war? Could be. We've got prophecies for war coming. Could be a stock market crash. Could be a big financial change. We also know that they're going to do away with the dollar and they're going to bring in a digital financial system based upon the cell phone. We know there's going to be a 30% fall of the dollar, 50% down to eventually worthless. I would recommend you back up all of your financial records. That way, if they say, well, we lost all of our records, but if you can prove you got the money in the bank, then we'll give it to you. It's a good time for people that have taken their money out of the bank and put it into silver or gold. There's going to come a time when people that have done that are going to be really, really happy. I saw this movie, came out in 2000. Man, I should have looked up the date. But I saw this movie, and this is a perfect example of what might be happening in the month of September. If If you haven't watched it, I recommend you watch it. I don't like some of the cussing in it, of course, but the point is, it's a thriller that revolves around the key people at an investment bank over a 24-hour period during the early stages of the 2008 financial crisis. Prophecies say what happened in 2008 was only a start. It's a fall. The snowball is rolling downhill, and they paused it in 2008. But is it about to start rolling again in 2022? Probably. In the debate, Trump said if Biden's elected, the stock market will crash. Maybe he was just predicting. Maybe he knew something. So let's go back to the point. Why September? All stock market crashes that have always happened associated with God's feast days. September 24th of 2022 is the Feast of Trumpets. So, and they're saying September 23rd, according to Hal Turner or to Benjamin Fulford. So, I would watch September 23rd. I do not know that's going to happen in September. But the prophecies are saying something big is coming. Several people are saying something big is coming in September. Benjamin Fulford says the Vatican firings. Hal Turner, Goldman is selling $47 billion worth. Vatican calling assets back to the Vatican. Dana Cornerstone says it is happening. Vicky Parnell says Jesus said, I want this dream out. So Terry Saga with CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. What is going on in the world? Why should they call CornerstoneAssetMetals.com today?
Well, we are having an unusual strength in the dollar. So what that's doing is bringing down the precious metal prices, which is a great buying opportunity. But we have to understand the strength is because the European currency is collapsing below parity and it's getting worse. But what we have to watch indication of is the dollar's not going to absolutely collapse until the euro collapses. So if we see the European currency completely collapse, we got 2 weeks to get our money out of the banking system in the United States. But right now, it's not, but it is so weak. Take advantage of it because the dollar strength is incredibly artificial.
CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. Give them a call. Start talking to them today. It didn't cost anything to call. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. 888-747-3309. 888-747-3309. Next is, I'll send you to EMPShield.com. If you use the promo word prophecy, you get a $50 discount. Because if every computer chip is destroyed in your car these days, you couldn't possibly replace them all. Throw the car away. So, EMPShield.com, promo code prophecy.